Alright, what's up everybody? My name's Anthony, and today I'm going to show you 3 things that you can do right now to be a better singer. In this video, we're going to cover 3 topics. Those 3 topics are going to be breathing, tones, and lastly, it's going to be staying in the correct key or pitch, whatever which one you want to call it. Actually, I have the webcam set up, and then I'll actually have my mic set up so you guys can hear my voice a little better compared to my other camera. So it's looking slightly a little low budget, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, I just want to start off with breathing. This is the very first crucial one that I think is super important, and there's actually a reason why. So when you're breathing a lot of times you'll hear an example of bad breathing, I would have to say, is when you breathe via into your shoulders, right? So for instance, if I'm talking to anybody regularly, or if you are talking to anybody, you're gonna breathe down here into your what they call diaphragm, right? They always tell you to breathe into the diaphragm. What they're not telling you is that you need to breathe in deep. So if we do that together real quick, so if I'm breathing deep into my gut, the way you can practice this is actually going, let me let out all my air, right? If I'm going to breathe in, there's that blender again. But if I breathe in deep, going, right? I'm trying not to make sure my shoulders don't move, but pretty much you're gonna get like this baby belly right here, if I can show you. So you're gonna get this belly here, and I know it looks like I'm about a couple months along, but pretty much that's your where you're storing all your air, right? Because you're breathing in really deep, and when you release, you want to press on it, and this is gonna help you sing those notes. So when you're singing phrases, when you breathe in like that, you're going to go, let's just sing happy birthday, for instance. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Obviously, it sounds pretty monotone there, but that's just an example on how to really get breathing done correctly. And another thing, too, is bad breathing, and what you hear a lot of times is usually within the shoulders. And you'll hear them kind of go like that. And I don't want to bag on anybody, but a good example of this happening is actually in Ed Sheeran's song "You Need Me, Man, I Don't Need You." If you listen like every single phrase, he actually does that, like, and that's actually straining, or not really straining, but it just, the airway isn't open like it should be. So if you're going to practice breathing, make sure you just practice, and it's going really into the lower part of the belly. And that's what breathing into the diaphragm is. It's nothing crazy. It's just breathing in deep like you normally would, as if you were talking to any other human being, or anything really. But that's what we want to do. We want to just breathe in deep and make sure that we're actually breathing in to the stomach, really low in there. That way you can get as much breath as possible. Now, how much breath do you need, or how much air do you need, is actually depends on what you're going to try to hit. Honestly, the body will naturally know how much air you need to hit a note. Just as if you're talking, you don't think about how much air you're going to need to say a whole phrase. The mind just does it automatically for you. It's just how do you breathe, kind of subconsciously, to the point where you're going to breathe in just like that. And plus, it's going to, work wonders as far as you being in like the studio, for instance. You're not going to peak when you're, breathing in, because then your studio guy's going to have to go, or your sound guy's going to have to go in there and, lower all those, breaths, or like redo them because it's way too loud. So that would be, that's like the first crucial thing, breathing to where you have the open airway, and you're going to actually get the correct breath so you can hit the high note or any note just with enough support. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, or the second topic I think we'll talk about is obviously tones. So tones, I actually have to write them down, or how to say them, I guess. But tones are actually going to be A, E, I, O, U. And when you do sing phrases, you're going to have to be able to sing it on those vowels, right? Because we don't want to say, if we sing happy birthday, we're not going ha, really enunciating on the wrong vowel. You're actually ha, ah, right? And same thing with happy. You're not going e. It's just like happy. It's not really grinding into it like you would as if you were singing country, or maybe you're the lead singer of the Cranberries and you're singing on an R. So those vowels are the ones that you want to stay most open on. So let's say if I were going to sing Happy Birthday, let me pick a better key to sing in. Happy birthday to you. I'm not going you, I'm going you, because I'm actually on the vowel compared to just really you type of thing. But that's one of the things that you want to really keep in mind is singing on the vowels. If you can do this and you start singing higher, it actually helps out a lot. A lot of times for men, at least from what I've noticed, every time we sing high, we really kind of sit on the A vowel. And that's because it's most comfortable for men to sing on the A vowel rather than some of the ladies who actually sound really nice on the E vowel. It's more comfortable for them. So just pick, as I sing high, I mean, obviously I open my mouth pretty wide just to get that ah vowel to make it more comfortable for me as I'm going higher. If I were to sing really high on an E vowel, I'm probably going to crack. So that's also important to keep in mind. Doing these vowels is actually very important, and I think it's actually going to help you with your pitch as well, which is the next topic we're going to get into. So from breathing, if we have the breath down, to actually set this up for perfect tones, which is A, E, I, O, U, singing those vowels, ah, e, and oo. Those are the vowels that are actually really crucial, and that's actually going to help you stay in pitch, which is what we're going to get to next, or staying in the key, right? Or try not to go sharp or too flat. Now, this is the last point that I want to bring up, point number 3, which is staying in key or staying on pitch. Normally when you're singing, right, a lot of times a note is either going to be too high, or how do you know if you're even singing the right note? This is actually a huge thing, and the way you guys can actually practice this is if you're singing a song that's actually very comfortable in your range, and let's say you're in the car, and as it's going, right, and the next phrase, turn off the music, sing along to it as if the rhythm was going, and then turn it back up. If you're still in the same, key as the singer is, then obviously you're doing a great job because you're staying in key rather than, coming back on and it turns out you're singing a whole different song than what you're actually listening to. And this is actually super important when you're singing. A lot of times to an average ear, if you ever have asked anybody, which I have before in the past, I never was perfect at all whatsoever. They'd always tell me, oh, hey, it sounded all right, and it kind of makes me wonder, well, what makes it sound all right? I mean, even though I think I have a good product or a good song, a lot of times it was just because of, I'm not in, singing in the right key. And this is happening when I was a beginner. So it's always important to know the notes that you're going to sing and staying within that. And what's actually going to help all of that is actually the correct breathing and then into the tones. And then obviously that would also help you get to that point where you're going to have, being in the correct key. So those are 3 crucial things that I think are super important for any singer to know, and that's like the basic fundamentals. I do want to say that you do not have to have all these correctly. I mean, even though I mentioned Ed Sheeran earlier in the video, I mean, the guy's obviously has made it. He's living the dream, and I can't bash on him for that. But if you notice in his later albums, you'll notice that he actually fixed that problem. Tones, obviously, there are country singers out there. The lead singer of the Cranberries clearly enunciated on her R's because she has an Irish accent, which makes her different. So, just do whatever you feel is your thing. I'm not telling you how to sing, but this is just advice as far as being a little, always knowing where home base is, right? So even though you do sing on that R, you technically know, like, okay, that's not comfortable for the voice, but you can still do it because it's just your style, right? And then lastly, which actually is super important regardless of what kind of style singer you are, you have to stay in key. And that's the super important. So and another part for staying in key I would recommend is actually just practicing just playing a song, making sure you're hitting the right notes. Listen to yourself. If it doesn't sound good or anything. Make sure you're hitting the right notes, and make sure you're not too sharp or flat. And that's something that I feel like that can really help anybody who's really trying to learn. So for those who are watching this, I really hope that this did help. If you do like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for future tutorials or videos just like this one. I know today it seems a little more lower budget because I'm not using my nice camera, but I'm using my webcam just because I want to be able to use this mic. And for those who have watched this, I hope this was a great help to you. If you guys have any more questions regarding vocals, I've taken lessons for about 10 years now as far as different styles. I've sang in choirs, I've sang in art style, which is pretty much like classical music, I've sang in metal bands, and obviously I've sang acoustically, and then I've taken speech level singing for actually like 4 years. So I've been around the block for a little bit. I know I'm not the best singer in the world, but you know, I definitely know a thing or two about the voice. And if you're looking to get better, you always can email me at imanthonyjames9@gmail.com, and there we can probably set up something, and I would love to help you out on your guys' journey. So thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.